Sorry. Welcome to this evening's planning committee. I think I've just broken the gavel, but doesn't matter. Good evening, members of the committee and members of the public. I'd like to welcome you to the Central Area Planning Committee on the 15th of December 2021. My name is Councillor Jeanette Stilts and I am the chairman for this meeting. The meeting for the meeting have been designed to mitigate for COVID. Therefore, can I ask all present to work to the protocol agreed at Council on the 2nd of September 2021 in the interest of member and officer safety. We are streaming this meeting live as well as recording, and by being present in the meeting you are giving your consent to being recorded. Members and officers, during each item, please put your hand up to indicate if you wish to speak. I will then invite you at the appropriate time. Please note that the YouTube live stream sound recording is dependent on the correct use of the microphones. Therefore, can I ask that when invited to speak, you remember to turn on your microphone and turn it off when finished. Please reference a page or paragraph number when referring to the agenda papers and keep your contributions as clear and concise as possible. Finally, can I draw your attention to the notices on the agenda papers regarding the different levels within the chamber and advise that the fire exit is at the door behind the top table. I would also like it noted that Councillor Morris is in attendance. Item 2, apologies for absence. Berna, can I have apologies for absence?
Thank you, Chairman. We received apologies for absence from Councillor Ms. Field and Councillor Lagan.
Thank you, Berna. Item 3 on the agenda, minutes. It is recommended that the minutes of the meeting held on the 17th of November 2021, found on pages 7 to 8, are approved as a true and accurate record. I so move. Do I have a seconder for that motion? Thank you, Councillor Mays. Does any member wish to raise any matter of accuracy on those minutes? No? Is every member happy to agree these by assent? Thank you. Item 4 on the agenda, declarations of interest to disclose the existence and nature of any disclosable pecuniary interests, other pecuniary interests or non-pecuniary interests relating to items of business on the agenda, having regards to paragraph 6 to 8 inclusive of the Code of Conduct for members. Members are reminded that they are required to disclose any such interests as soon as they become aware, should the need arise throughout the meeting. Councillor Nunn.
Yes, thank you. As I've said previously, I'm acquainted with the history of the building and also with the applicant, but it's of a non-pecuniary interest.
Thank you. Councillor Mays.
Yes, good evening, Madam Chairman. A non-pecuniary interest in that I have met with Historic England on the site in between the applications. Thank you.
Councillor Hurd.
Thank you, Chair. Non-pecuniary, I'm acquainted with one of the objectors.
Thank you, Councillor Hurd. If there's no other declarations of interest, we will move on. I will ask the officers that are present to introduce themselves, just so that the public are aware of who I have sitting on the table with me. So if I start.
Thank you, Chairman. I am Matthew Lee, Lead Specialist Place here at Maldon District Council. Thank you.
Hiya, I'm Hannah Dungate, Development Management Planning Specialist.
Hi, my name's Alex Taylor and I am the Senior Specialist Coordinator for Development Management.
Thank you. We now move to item 5 on the agenda, which is the report for House Mail 2001 1020, which is Joshua 4 Silver Street, Maldon, Essex. And this is found on pages 9 to 26. Miss Dungate, would you like to give that report?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Householder planning permission and listed building consent is sought for the restoration and alterations of the exterior and interior of number 4 Silver Street. This application follows a previously refused application at this committee on the 25th of August for a similar development. The application is a revision to that refused scheme by removing any proposed alterations to the cellar and retention of the existing carport at the side of the property. This is the site location plan for the application. As you can see, this High Street is located south of the site here. This is the existing block plan for the site. And this is the proposed block plan for the site, which shows the carport to be retained here, the side porch to be removed here, and the replacement canopy at the rear here. Also shown is the block plan of the previously refused application here, which originally shows the carport to be removed. This is the existing front elevation of the property. This is the proposed front elevation showing the carport to be retained. Also shown is the previously refused application, which showed the carport to be removed here. This is the existing rear elevation, and this is the proposed rear elevation, showing the replacement of the dilapidated 20th century conservatory with a canopy, the removal of the unsympathetic side porch, the removal of a late 20th century window here, and you can also see that the carport is also retained here. This is one of the existing side elevations, and this is the proposed side elevation. Again, it shows the porch to be removed here, as well as some replacement windows. And just to note, all of the windows to be replaced are unsympathetic late 20th century windows of no historic significance. And it is considered that the new windows would be more in keeping with the age and character of the property. This is the other side elevation, existing. And this is the proposed side elevation, which shows the canopy, open-sided canopy, and one new bedroom window, as well as other replacement windows. This is the existing basement floor plan, and this is the proposed basement floor plan. As you can see from comparison with the previously refused scheme, there are no changes proposed to the cellar anymore, including the removal of the cellar doors and any ventilation units to this floor. This is the existing ground floor plan, and this is the proposed ground floor plan. As you can see, in comparison to the previously refused scheme, this staircase to the cellar is no longer proposed. There is a new secondary staircase proposed here, and there are a number of other changes, including the removal of some late 20th century partitions, which also possess no significance to the listed building, and the insertion of some new internal walls. This is the ground floor ceiling plan, and this is the proposed ground floor ceiling plan. This is the first floor plan of the existing property, and this is the proposed first floor plan. Again, the changes include the removal of some late 20th century partitions which possess no significance, and the insertion of some new internal walls. These are existing section drawings and proposed, and they just show that the changes to the cellar are no longer proposed. This is another existing section drawing. Proposed section drawing showing the staircase to the cellar is no longer proposed in comparison to the previous application. existing and proposed sections from the front of the house, showing the carport to be retained, and just another existing section and proposed section. This is an aerial photograph of number 4 Silver Street. And these are views of number 4 from the street scene. And these are views of the rear of the property, showing the dilapidated conservatory and the window to be removed. These are side views of the property, showing the unsympathetic late 20th century windows to be replaced. And these are just some internal photographs of the property. So in line with the assessment carried out within the committee report, the proposal would result in no harm to the significance of the listed building or the conservation area. The amendments to the proposal are considered to overcome the previous refusal reason, and it should be noted that the proposal is supported by Historic England, the Society for the Protection of Ancient Buildings, and the Council's Conservation and Listed Building Specialist. It is noted that a number of concerns have been raised in relation to the potential change of use of the property. However, it is important to note that the application submitted and being assessed within the committee report is for the physical alterations to the dwelling, not to the change of use of the site. It may be possible to rent the dwelling out, as is the case with any other dwelling, without planning permission being required. However, if a change of use was to occur, this would require further planning permission as part of a further application. As such, the application is recommended for approval subject to conditions. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Members, you have all had these updated notes before this meeting. We have one public participation as an objector for this application. Miss Woods, would you like to take the seat? You have 2 minutes.
This planning application is an aggressive development and alteration on a Grade 2 star listed property. Other listed building owners are subjected to intense constant scrutiny and a dictate of like for like in their ongoing renovations. Why are these restrictions not being applied to this property? These proposals will impact on the integrity of the building structure. A new staircase will require joists to be cut and removed. Window and door layout changes will alter the visual appearance of 3 elevations of the building and again change the structure. A fire protected corridor goes far beyond domestic dwelling requirement. If approved, this application will set a precedent for other listed property owners to apply for aggressive alterations and development on their buildings in the heart of this heritage town. The internal layout configuration is primarily to add an ensuite bathroom to every bedroom. And why has drawing DD submitted on the 10th of December have changes to the cellar when no changes are supposedly to be made? This building is described in the Maldon District Heritage at Risk Register 2022 as one of the oldest and most important houses in the town. We are in full support of renovation, but we strongly object to these proposals that will go far beyond the needs for a domestic dwelling. Concerns over the deterioration and condition of this building could be addressed immediately by replacing the left front gable ridge tiles, which were removed in February of this year prior to the filming of the Essex Serpent in March and have not been replaced. That's our case for the objectors.
Thank you, Miss Woods. Thank you. Members, you have seen the application and you now have the time to debate So if I have any questions from members for the officers. Councillor Swain.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I referred to the point on the papers saying it is a resubmitted application. This has a background of an application and then a site visit and then a consideration of it. And because of the absences from either the committees or from the site visit, the numbers of people participating in that decision was very limited. However, I'm assured by Mr. Johnson that this has to be treated as an entirely separate application on its own merits, so that everybody is able to participate in it. I have a rather fundamental question to ask, and a few additional points of information to clear up. My first rather fundamental one is I've been trying to think why this application and these proposals have caused so much difficulty, and I conclude it's because what we have here is a domestic property that has become a combination of domestic and commercial over the years, over the centuries even, and therefore what we have is perhaps a mixed use originally, which is now treated as entirely residential. So I would want, therefore, a reassurance, firstly, that we are satisfied that these premises do all satisfy the recommendation, apart from the cellar, the notion of being residential and have been used as such, including these rooms on the upstairs of the back range, which are supposedly bedrooms. And in a more general sense, since we're now operating under town and country planning rules, that there is no question that somebody may raise the whole question in future that the occupation of all the building for residential purposes may be unlawful because no change of use application has ever been made. That is the general one, which may be easy to deal with, but it is a quasi-legal one as well as planning. From specific points, if I can address them to the clarification from the officer. Yes. First of all, the rear staircase, is that it's internal and is entirely really to meet the or service the upstairs of the back range, isn't it? Is this because access on the existing staircase really isn't adequate? The only other staircase being in the front part of the building. Secondly, I note the point that's been made about the fire doors. Is this a matter for dispute, or is it entirely within the scope of the application to include fire doors? Subject to those points, I think the major difficulties have been dealt with in this new proposal, and I can't therefore see any planning reasons for rejecting it now.
Hi, so in regard to the matters regarding its use, there isn't any planning history to indicate that it's been anything other than residential. The layout of the property is such would be considered residential, and there's nothing else to indicate otherwise. I'm just looking at a historic application, which you'll find in section 7 of the report on site history, and I can't see anything to indicate anything other than residential.
Got Councillor Nunn. I got your hand up.
Well, just for the record, Chairman, it has been things other than residential, but we're talking a long, long while ago. It was a garage at one time. It was a vintner's. It's been all sorts of things, but we're going back to the 20s and prior to the 20s into the 18th, 17th, 16th centuries. But in my lifetime, it's been residential.
Thank you, Councillor Nunn. Did you want to answer the other questions before we go to any other member?
In relation to the internal staircase, I haven't received any correspondence or in writing from the conservation officer that the first staircase is inadequate. It's just that they might want to propose a second staircase within their application. I can see from the plans that the first staircase is to be improved or renovated is the word, but they haven't provided a reason as to why there's a second staircase. It's not something that we've requested to know. And in terms of the fire doors, the internal partitions are included within the application, and the conservation officer has advised that they would not impact on the significance of the listed building. So,
Yeah. Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Just for clarification, you mentioned that there's no works in the cellar, but there is. There's 2 doors to be put in. I'm just looking at the report. It says 2 steel doors are to be...
You've got the updated report.
And that's been taken out? Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Councillor Hurd.
Thank you, Chair. I'm not quite sure why we're sitting here discussing this actually, although I understand it was through public concern that it's come here. So in another way, it's a good thing that we are. But if I could just take you to page 12 at 321. And this talks about the conclusion and the report. This proposal is supported by both English Heritage and the Council's Conservation and Listed Buildings Specialist as being an exemplary proposal for this listed building. It wouldn't result in any detrimental harm to the residential amenity of neighbouring occupiers. I have to say the presentation was excellent. Thank you very much indeed for that. I'm very impressed indeed by the plans, and I really like what is proposed and then the existing, probably the best plans I've seen actually. But I'm inclined to agree with the officer's recommendation, and I would be happy to support that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Welcome. Councillor Mays, you put your hand up.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chairman. I too am very grateful for the presentation, which was excellent. I don't have any concerns with what has been proposed, and I would like to second the motion, if that was a motion put before, and think that this the work that has been done through the council with officers, the applicant has actually addressed all of the members' concerns going forward. Relating to the 2 staircases, with a house of such a size, 2 staircases is really not unusual. And if I was going from the front of the house to the back of the house, I would get fairly annoyed if I had to go via the front staircase rather than the back staircase. It's a large house, and I think it is entirely reasonable to actually have another staircase from that area. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Hubner.
Thank you, Chair. My main concern is the windows. You mentioned some of the windows will be changed, but not all of them. So what standard are we applying to that? Also, if the actual 7 bedrooms were occupied, where are they going to park? Because there's not enough space for the vehicles to park. Yeah. And also the fact that fire regulations and doors are not really in residential area. It strikes me that this could be an alternative use in the now, so they're not using it as a residential use. It's going to be letted out.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Just in relation to the windows, the ones that are not being replaced are of, I'm not sure what date period, but they are not late 20th century modern windows, so they're not being replaced. The ones that are proposed to be replaced, actually, probably better to show you photographs rather than plans. For example, these windows you can tell are different in character to these windows, and these are the windows, this window, that are being replaced. So there's no significance in terms of their loss of significance to the historic building in terms of replacing those windows, and the ones that are of historic significance aren't being replaced. In terms of parking, as discussed within the committee report, this is a domestic dwelling, and the bedroom size, the number of bedrooms, so 3 bedrooms or more, require 3 parking spaces. And because we are actually reducing the number of bedrooms and it's still being above 3 bedrooms, the parking requirements don't change for this application. Obviously, if a change of use that requires planning permission was to occur, we would need to look at parking, but that would be as part of a separate application. And in terms of fire doors, again, we're not looking at the change of the use of the property as part of this application, so that's not consideration under this application. That's okay.
Is there any other questions? Councillor Shaughnessy.
Thank you, Chair. It's not a question. I would just like to concur with other councillors here this evening that concerns have been addressed, which I'm thankful, and I would be prepared to accept this application. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Edwards.
Sorry, I was just like, Madam Chairman, just like to concur as well, because this property needs renovation urgently, because to stop it deteriorating any further, having been there myself. Thank you.
Okay. Do I have Councillor Swain?
Yes, Chairman, if I could just add one comment, reflecting back to the sense of grievance that a lot of people seem to feel about the difficulties of getting any changes made to their buildings on conservation grounds. I think there are questions to be asked about how much work has been done on this property without perhaps planning application, without planning permission. But I think that's not for this forum, that's for some other forum.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other questions for the members of the committee? Councillor Shaughnessy.
Yes, if you'll excuse me, Chair, I did forget to express a non-pecuniary interest, as I do know Ms Woods, and I forgot at the time. I do apologise. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Hurd.
Thank you, Chair. Well, in that case, I'd like to make a proposal that we accept the officer's recommendation.
Thank you. And Councillor Mace, do you still want to second that?
Yes, I will second that. Thank you.
Thank you. So there is a proposal to accept the officer's recommendation. It has been seconded by Councillor Mays. Can I ask all councillors in favour of this proposal? So that's all councillors are in favour of this proposal. All against? And Councillor Hubner, you are against this proposal. Okay, thank you, officers. members, that has passed. Thank you, officers, as well. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you, members, that has now passed. So this proposal has been accepted. Item 5, any other items of business that the chairman decides are urgent? There are none. So item 8 is the closure of meeting. Members, thank you for your contributions this evening. I now draw the meeting to a close at 8 o'clock. As the meeting is now closed, members are advised not to enter into any further discussion, and please leave the meeting via the exit door behind the top table, bearing in mind social distancing. Thank you.